whenever I can contribute in a way to a revenue, that only it makes sense to join a company. If you will join a company where they just want to do SEO for the sake of doing SEO, just to maybe grow some numbers or a vanity metric. So I still feel that years or number of years of experience is still a vanity metric.
If anybody needs to start around technical SEO, what's the first place he needs to go to read, or what's the best way to approach this and understand?
So I always feel that SEO is all about 3 E's, which is,
I feel, what's your take on content? Because a lot more people talk about ki, hey, we need to have this number of word count. Let's say if the intent and if the article is smaller and it makes the user experience better, should somebody take that risk and then create something?
try if you can get a chance to work with a team in your initial days.
But how do you see the whole Gen AI play, the generative AI play on SEO?
One thing which I feel is it has always helped me right now.
SEO is very niche. So, what do you think are the three important skills that he or she must require? So, hey guys, this is the first ever episode of SEO Unfiltered, and with me is Aditya, who is been in the SEO field for 9 years, and I am Himanshu. I've been into the SEO and content marketing space for about 6-7 years. So we thought we'd start this. SEO Unfiltered is our way of sharing candid conversations around career growth, off-page SEO, on-page SEO, anything around backlinks, new Google updates, sharing case studies, etc. So we want to make this as fun as possible. So I work at MoEngage as a content marketing manager. We do a fair bit of B2B SaaS SEO. With me, Aditya is there. He's been working at NoBroker. He leads one of the segments there, and he does a fair bit of B2C SEO, a lot more programmatic, technical SEO aspects. So Aditya, why don't you start by talking about your own experience with SEO? How did you find SEO, and what were the initial your aspects or initial impression of SEO?
Yeah, Himanshu. So basically, it's been 9 years I'm into SEO, and I still remember the day one when I got to know about SEO from one of my college teacher, and he didn't told me about SEO, but he told me in general about there is something called digital marketing during my college time. And since then, he introduced me to this term called SEO. I worked with him on our college projects, and then I slowly and gradually started, enjoying whatever I was doing in SEO. A couple of website experiments, basic on-page optimization and all. Then I decided to, grow my career in SEO, and I decided to join internship in college time, and I joined an SEO agency as a SEO intern, and that's how the journey began. And since then it's a never ending journey, and I would say that it's more like a roller coaster, right, for me, right. And I guess it's for every SEO person who is working in SEO industry and has given a lot of time in SEO. It must be a roller coaster ride, right? So
Yeah, I mean, fair bit of time. So interestingly, Aditya was my roommate for about 6 years. So I have seen his journey as well, and at times, because he was in doing only SEO, there was a time also where there were doubts around ki, hey, what's the growth? But I think he's reached quite significantly after that, and held critical positions at MPL and now at NoBroker. So for me, I think initial SEO I got to know from, I think, in my early days of blogging, when I was in college itself. And my initial impression for SEO was it's kind of like a black box, right? There are a lot of terms, and I think initially back 7-8 years back, not a lot of people knew SEO in and out, in the sense, right? And again, it was fairly easy, so I feel so I remember I spent some amount, gave it to some freelancer, and he did some SEO where he just created some bookmark links. And I think that was a time where I think Fiverr and all, there were a lot of projects people were taking, and we were doing all these type of SEO. So my initial impression was like, hey, SEO is very hard, and but I think over time, when I created websites, when I ranked it, and when I saw changes happening after I've done, and I think we'll have to give credit to a lot of communities as well as blogs like Hrefs, SEMrush, Backlinko back then, fair bit of Neil Patel as well. I feel those helped us in understanding and getting started, because I feel ki unlike all other things, there's no exact blueprint for SEO in general. So yeah, I think that was my initial this thing. But because like I've seen your career growth as well, a lot of people I feel now has come into SEO. We saw it in the our SEO Lager Fest, which was in Bangalore. A lot of more people, more interest. I mean, SEO is often, I feel ki, I mean, when you compare to like PR or like social, always in the like backside, right? It's not highlighted. So, what do you feel helped you go from, I think, different stages? Like, let's say, after a 4 year period, where even companies are very serious about SEO, and then they want folks who can actually execute. So, what has been your learning of that career trajectory?
Sure, Himanshu. So one thing which I have clearly learned about, choosing a company when I have to take up a role is simply that whenever I can contribute in a way to a revenue, that only it makes sense to join a company. If you will join a company where they just want to do SEO for the sake of doing SEO, just to maybe grow some numbers or a vanity metrics to show to the investors or show to the public, I don't think you should join there, or you should be able to give money, and you won't even get the growth, right? So see, when company will give you money, they will only give you money when they are also making money out of a vertical, right? And when your vertical is one of the primary factor, or a primary source of revenue for them, then only the company will take care of you, your vertical, your team, as well as your growth as well, right? Because they are able to make money. So, and couple of things even I have learned about these things when even with my past experience. I worked in a company where SEO was just a part of the company, where they wanted to just grow traffic to get a round of funding, right? They just
Mhm.
wanted to give some numbers to the investors, and I can clearly see the impact I was creating versus the amount of attention I was getting from the senior management. Whereas the second place, I have worked in a company where I was clearly able to generate traffic, and I was also able to convert that into money, right? And then when the moment I started converting that traffic into money, right, I got the tension. I got a more budget for my team, for more budget to buy some more tools, do a lot of more different things, right? And then since then it's a different growth journey you get onto, right? So you have to figure out, or you have to calculate the market size before joining any company, that if you join, does it have a potential size, right? Whether the volume, does it exist or not, right? And if the volume exists, does a good amount of transactional keyword or transactional intent keyword exist there or not, right? So that's also a very crucial part of it. And then you have to also think whether you will be able to convert that traffic into revenue. I feel, yeah, that's one of the good approach if you are looking forward to it. And even I have learned it. So right now, for me, because I have like spent around 9 years in the industry. For me right now, what matters more is a company where organic should be a primary source of revenue. If not primary, then at least secondary source for sure after PPC, right? And I can see that culture growing a lot, because back then I would say when there was an era when a lot of money was infused in the market, right? I guess during the COVID time, a lot of money was there in the market, and people were just spending like anything. Nobody was focusing on SEO at all, because they had a lot of money to spend, and everyone was spending only on the PPC, right? And just hiring brand ambassador, putting a lot of money in branding, paid campaigns, performance marketing, and all. Least interested in spending money in SEO. And nowadays, when the market is pretty much tight, right, people have to show a decent metrics with respect to revenue, and they have to also show a path of profitability, right, to get funding. then I can see now that's the reason even in market, if you see a lot of opportunities are coming in with respect to SEO, and people are focusing from the day zero. I have seen a new startups where they are hiring their founding team, and they are also hiring for SEO folks, and that's the main. I feel a change has happened in last 2 years, where people and the company have started putting more money and more focus on SEO.
I think it's very clear that companies are focusing more on organic, because obviously, like, budget cuts. I mean, people want to show that recurring revenue, because obviously a lot of B2C companies, let's say popular companies like, let's say, Zepto, and has been increasing rounds. I think for them the whole ball game is very different. I think they obviously work on retention more, and their acquisition strategy is, I think, mostly focused on paid. But a lot of companies, I feel, has been prioritizing SEO for sure, because this is something they've seen that if you reach a certain stage, it gives you that this thing. I mean, a clear example would be if you're paying, let's say, $1 or $2 for a keyword, you might as well rank for free, right? But obviously, this is easier said than done. A lot of behind the scenes goes into it. But I wanted to understand, for anybody, let's assume there's a person who's been into SEO for around 3 years. He's done a fair bit. He's changed companies. He has ranked keywords. He's doing all that, and he's looking for his next switch. And maybe his career or his role has saturated in other companies. Looking for a change. And so, what do you think are the top three skills he'd require to go from, let's say, a 3 years experience to flourish and go beyond like a 5-6 experience role? Because I think role requires a lot from you, right, at that stage, because it's only SEO, right? It's not a very generic role like a digital marketing executive or a manager. SEO is very niche. So, what do you think are the three important skills that he or she must require?
Right. So, I still feel that years or number of years of experience is still a vanity metric.
Okay,
Right.
makes sense.
Doesn't matter. I have interviewed people have around more than 5 years of experience, and when I ask them a basic question such as what is the difference between no follow and do follow link, and they're not able to answer that. Whereas I have interviewed people, with less than of a 6 months of experience, and they are even able to answer a decent amount of questions about even couple of questions around JC as well. So I always feel that SEO is all about three E's, which is execution, experiment, and experience, right? Which means that how much experience you own, how much experiments you have done in your career, and then how good you are at execution, right? So, and all these things will come with the work you will do. I would always say that learn more, be a part of few communities, right? Be a part of there are good Facebook groups, there are good Reddit channels, and nowadays a lot of WhatsApp groups are also there. Be active, if possible subscribe to good newsletters, SEO newsletters, right? Read more, because there is no thumb rule in SEO, right? That's the worst case or that's the best case about SEO, because whatever has worked for one website won't work for other website, right? So you have to tweak your strategies based on the website. So that's what I would say, that read more as much as you can, do experiments, never shy away or get scared of doing experiments. I understand, that when you are working for a company, a lot of things are there on the stake. You sometime your manager won't allow you to do experiment, and right. So one thing you can always do is that whenever it comes to doing experiment, calculate the upper risk and the lower risk of it, right? That if you do it, and if it goes other way around, what will you be losing on it, and if it works out, right, what you will be gaining out of it. So if you know the best case and worst case scenario of your experiment, you will be easily able to convince your upper management will be do it. So do experiments as much as you can, do test out things. I have seen happening that sometime a meta title change would definitely help you to rank, and sometime you just do a lot of content revamp and it won't help out. So you never know what will be helping you to get rank. So do experiment, be good at execution, right? Because I have seen people good at strategy, good at numbers, but they fail badly when it comes to execution. And when you join companies, big companies, where there is a process behind everything. For example, there is a big company, and when you join as a SEO manager or at any SEO lead post, you have to get your work done via tech, and you can't directly access tech. You have to go via product, right? So, and there is too much to's and fro's, so you have to good at execution, how to get your work done. Right, so that's a very very crucial role, and we have rejected in our current company also a couple of folks where the knowledge was very good, but they were lacking at execution, because we know that how much struggle it is to get our task done from the execution. I feel it's the same case for all the SEO folks out there. They always struggle getting their execution done. And then experience, right? Experience will always come from the work which you have done in past, from the books, articles, or from wherever you consume the information, and then what kind of people you meet, what kind of conversation you do with folks. So try to increase that kind of thing in your career aspect, right? So yeah, if you work well on these three aspects of E, you should definitely grow. And I have replaced, currently at my current organization, I have replaced a person who was having experience of 15 years, where I was coming with a background of around 8 years experience. So again, that's what I say. That's why when I say that
It's a vanity.
it's just a vanity metric, because you know every time whenever you interview, right, interviewer is looking for one thing, and if they are able to see that one thing in you, right, it could be execution, it could be experience, and it could be experiments, right? They'll just hire you, and nothing else apart from these three will be something which interviewer will be looking for. So just focus on these three things. I would say it will definitely help you to grow, and don't shy away by asking questions uh,
To the interviewer?
to the interviewer, as well as whenever you go in any meetups. Don't shy away asking questions in the communities as well, right? Even in your team, if you're working with your team. So one thing I would add up whatever I've said so far is, try if you can get a chance to work with a team in your initial days, because when you work with like-minded people, you always get a chance to learn more, right? You'll always work with couple of your seniors, couple of your juniors, couple of folks at your same level.
So, do you mean when you say a team, SEO team proper?
Primarily SEO team,
Okay.
yes. If you get a chance to work, it will definitely an added bonus in your career, right? Because everyone have their different experience. Everyone have worked on different projects, so you get to learn about it. But you have to be, you have to be proactive in asking people a lot of questions and try to learn and get things out of folks, right? But if you get a chance, it's definitely helpful. If not, being IC is also one of the good thing, but it has its own pros and cons. So yeah, that's what it is.
Cool. Yeah, I think team especially helps you because when you're starting out, like yeah, and like both of us have engineering backgrounds, so we don't have any formal knowledge of marketing or SEO or anything, right? So I think especially when you starting off a team helps. But I mean, like otherwise also it works. Like for me, I started my career. I was handling marketing for a small startup, but I feel what was I mean I didn't get the hands-on knowledge or mentorship or something. I think I looked for it outside, but what it really helped me was doing experiments a lot. Like you mentioned about experiments, right? So I think that helps. But yeah, either if you have both, if you could be a very hands-on person, do experiments and have mentorship as well. I think that will help a lot. But coming to interviews and the whole process, I think something which is going on lately is where companies, especially in SEO, they demand an assignment which usually is like a year growth plan of SEO or a 2 year roadmap, or even few companies want you to do a full on site audit for them. What's your stance on this? Because people have been openly speaking and especially in India as a country where your time value is very less. Like we don't value time a lot, right? So in the sense ki even companies feel that the same way. They feel that candidates have all the time, they have all the effort, and very sadly is that they don't even get a response, let alone a thank you or something. So, what's your whole stance on this? How do you think companies can approach this? Because asking for a full-on site audit when the candidate is completely unaware about your industry or how you work or your challenges, it seems very unfair, right? And these days you need to also have tools, etc. And I mean, HS is no like a cheap tool to have, right? I mean, personal use you can't do it.
Right.
So it's very that way it's very difficult. So what's your whole stance on this? How do you see this?
So Himanshu, one thing is this is not happening. This has not started happening very recently. It's there. It's there since long back. Just that people have started speaking about it, which I feel is a good thing.
True.
We really wanted that. It has happened with me in past. It has happened with my friends, colleagues, and anyone I know in SEO. Everyone has been asked at least a single time to do a full audit, right? And I feel this is not fair at all. First thing, whenever an HR ask you to do a segment as a first role, like as a first thing in an interview process, say clearly no to it, because I feel they have a bad intentions about the role and all. They just want to get the work done from a person. I feel when you have completed couple of rounds, especially with a hiring manager, when hiring manager and you have a good understanding, you have a good understanding of your roles and responsibilities. If you will be joining that company, and the hiring manager also have the full satisfaction in whatever skill sets or a person he was looking for, he's getting that right, and he gives a green signal from there, then you can do that, but definitely not a full-fledged audit. It should be always a very small or micro task. It could be a small problem statement which they are trying to solve or they were trying to solve in past, but they couldn't, where you can help, right? Or they can also give a small task from a different industry as well, where it feels fair enough. I have given interviews and given a segment in past where the company have asked me, something, do a segment which was not at all related to their business at all, just to test out my skill sets, right? So giving out, doing a segment for a company, and that too when you feel that your work can be used, especially say no to the HR, to the, obviously you can't directly say straight away no when you are starting with a career or something, but there is always a polite way to say things out, right? In a way,
Also
in
I
a
think
certain way.
it's important that the candidate also feels confident about the role, even the company. I mean, there needs to be a sync, and when you are at, like you mentioned, at the later stage of the whole process, when both people have, this can be a final thing where
Right.
you spend a considerable time in doing this, and then companies judging you on that, right?
Right. So if you do like 2-3 rounds of interviews, right, and if you have reached to the final stage, you get to know how serious the company is about the role by doing couple of rounds with them, right? And the segment should be a final test round for you. When if you do this well, if you answer this correctly, it's a green
Like a
signal, right?
80% this thing, then
Right. And it shouldn't be a full audit or a growth plan, because do it. Tell them you will do it. You'll do it for a money, right? Charge them a money and tell them I'll do it, because it will take a lot of time and efforts. It's not an easy task, and as you mentioned, right, you'll require a lot of tools, paid tools, even their GSC, GA access to analyze the data, and a lot of things, right? And it's not an easy task. So whenever someone asks me, I say no about it, because I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. Because SEO is something which is very close to my heart, and I want to do it properly. So yeah, and I guess it's applicable for all. So try to avoid it in initial stage, and do a very small and a complex problem statement solution or a very case study thing. That should be a good approach, I feel.
what do you usually do at No Broker?
At No Broker, we usually don't give assignments related to real estate,
Okay.
or related to any thing about no broker. It usually depends on a different niche, or altogether we just try to understand the person's approach towards the problem statement he's trying to solve, right? So we are clear about it, and we try to do it. Even I, whenever wherever I have worked so far, and if I have to give a assignment, I try to keep it that way.
Okay. Fair bit, I think. I mean, anyways, I feel ki if you don't know a lot about the company, and again, a site audit is no a small task, right? It I mean, the scope is so huge. It can be a small like a sheet or a presentation, or it can be multiple sheets. I mean, depends, right? I mean, like just imagine going through all the pages, etc., for categories. So yeah, I mean, I feel, yeah, companies should understand this. I mean, it's very important for the company as well to understand the skill set of the person, and assignment gives you a fair understanding of what it is. Obviously, your experience also holds, but as you mentioned, like, experience is more of a vanity metric, right? It's a good way, but again, the approach should be different for companies. I think that'll help a lot. And as a candidate, I think we should resist this, and then and again figure out a way where both parties could understand each other
Right.
in order to get, because see, at the end, even a candidate wants to stay at a company for a 2-3 year period. Even the company wants to retain you and then grow. So I think as long as there's a balance, I think it'll work. Coming from the interviews bit, I feel even a lot of people use these days ChatGPT. So let's say if you get a question, obviously the first thing they'll do is put it in ChatGPT, and then it's an easy way for them to kind of get a result. But I think I feel a lot of my friends or acquaintances have told me that they've received all this, and these days even companies are adding it to their whole interview process. Hey, please don't use ChatGPT. Uh, Again, for interviews, it's a little different. Obviously, I feel I'm sure that there's no. I mean, any candidate who's doing it obviously is not even going past that round, I'm sure. But how do you see the whole Gen I play, the generative AI play on SEO? And it's impacted a lot on content marketers as well, and marketing in general. Again, we use it a fair bit to do certain tasks, but how do you see it play around SEO? What impacts does it make ranking pages easier, or processes simpler, or does your 30-day execution become a 20-day execution? How do you see this play at a larger scale?
Right. So Himanshu, basically, I'll address the ChatGPT or a bad thing first. Uh, I don't think so. It has impacted anyway negatively, but yeah, if you use it with the intention of you like bad intention, it'll definitely harm you in a way. One thing which I feel is it has always helped me right now. For example, you can now generate couple of variations of a meta title to experiment with, right? When you are working on a content structure, you can prepare an outline and then ask ChatGPT to improvise it. Right. But if you'll rely heavily on ChatGPT to do your basic work, you will definitely fail. Right. If you'll just ask ChatGPT, you give a keyword and then you ask a ChatGPT or a bard to write a 1,000 word article on it, I don't think so. It'll make any sense. It'll work for you, right? So use it in a way that it'll help you to speed up your work, but don't just give all the work to ChatGPT or Bard, right? A lot of, even I'm not sure what's happening, but I have seen couple of case studies or even videos where folks were trying out websites purely AI generated content. They have seen initial growth, but then
Initial spike,
yeah,
and then
then there was a significant drop, right? Because at the end, whatever the content is produced by ChatGPT or Bard is rephrased content, which is they are just taking out from the existing content available on internet, right? So that's what I feel, and I have, as my personal experience, I feel when you write content from your personal experience, it adds up value. your tonality change, right? The way you speak out things, it change. So that's the one thing. ChatGPT or Bard has really helped me, but so far, because I use it in a different way. One example I've already mentioned about the meta title, right? And then creating outline structures. But when I talk about a larger space where I see Google coming up with SGE, right, there it'll change a lot of things, because I have seen people talking about in the industry that it's been long, the search result interface or UI haven't changed, right? We are seeing this same with the minor tweaks here and there.
Correct.
From past couple of decades, right?
Correct.
So that thing is little scary. I'm not sure what will happen, how will it come, but Google have started doing that experiments. Nowadays, for a lot of queries, Google is straight away answering those queries. People are not even clicking on a website, so I can see a lot of CTR dropping over there, if even if you're ranking on first position, right? But the challenge now is how to get your website maybe for the rich results or featured snippet or knowledge graph thing, right? And so yeah, well, SEO is evolving day by day. You have to be on your toes. You have to learn everything in and around SEO, and it's getting more technical from what I feel nowadays, right? So yeah, when SG coming in, I feel it won't be more of a SEO, but it will be more of an basically organic optimization, where you have to optimize your website for the organic results. It's not only for search engine now, it could be for any kind of a GPT, or maybe this SG. They can fetch your result and then show it to the public, right? That's what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole Gen AI thing hasn't impacted a lot. Like it hasn't like significantly changed processes. So I was also listening to a podcast, and I think Aleda, she runs multiple agencies, and she is a consultant to a lot of companies. She was mentioning that obviously these things like tasks like changing titles or meta description. Let's say you have a huge website. Let's say you have 20,000 pages, and let's say 30% of them don't have a meta title, or let's say there's no meta description as well. So ChatGPT is a good way to generate these. But what she also mentioned was ki, hey, ChatGPT still can't give you outputs on the basis of certain parameters, let's say 160 words. It's always a sentence. So it can go to 160 plus. And I think these days, even the meta description which is fetched, Google fetches it depending on what situation is, what the search term is. So it's very difficult there as well. So at scale, it can help, especially with agencies, etc. And even as individuals, you can do. I mean, it's kind of a boring task, if you'd say. So that will help a lot. So uh, I think fair bit. I feel. I think even SEOs or even content marketers don't have to be scared about ChatGPT or a Bard or a Claude. I think if you put it in your workflow, use it, explore it, and see where it's useful. Because see, I think 8 out of 10 times is not useful at all, right? Because you'll have to understand it's all fetch data. It's more like a Google search, but it's a little more intuitive, so you get outputs. What I've seen is how much more input you give them, then it'll give you a good result. So for example, if you're writing meta descriptions, let's say if you give them ki, hey, these are my 10 meta descriptions which I've written before, and then probably you tell them ki, hey, use this style, use this tone to generate this, or hey, this is my industry, understand this. Because you'll also have to understand, like, it doesn't know a lot of industries like retail, like real estate or something else. It'll be difficult. I think recently there was a leak as well, a bunch of algorithm leaks, and I think the bunch of threads, Twitter threads, people telling ki, hey, this works, oh, meta description is important, or hey, your internal links help. I think a lot of debate there. What you've been learning, and what has been your this thing.
So yeah, definitely there was a data leak from Google search algorithm, right? I'm not sure, but I guess it was they were about to show some of the reports to the court, and somehow it got leaked. Not 100% sure about it. Uh, what I have seen in that, I was reading a couple of documents and I could see that a lot of things which Google has denied from over the years. For example, backlinks. They strictly say no, we don't give value to backlink. But I could see that they have something called external links in their document, and the anchor text variations, right? The number of time keyword is on the page, the title and description. So it was more about that, what we feel, and what Google has denied from past couple of years. They are there, but of course the metrics are 1,000 plus. So you don't know,
Yeah,
which.
this I think lakhs of pages and data and
Right. So we
privacy
just
laws.
got a couple of documents from the lakhs number of pages, right? So not sure about it, but yeah, mostly it's more about whatever they have denied from past couple of years. It's they they follow those things as well in the algorithm. Backlink is a part of algorithm. Title, right? The keyword optimization, even the number of time keyword is coming on the page is a part of all algorithm optimization, right? So those things are there.
Yeah, and especially I feel key because SEO has evolved so much, it's evolving day by day. There's a bunch of updates coming every 3 or 6 months. I feel it's very safe to say that there's no cheat code or this thing, right? Because it's so vast, it depends on so many factors, depends on your industry, etc. It can be very easy. And coming to you mentioned about backlinks. I feel I mean it's something that is very looked upon as in ki, hey, if I get a backlink from Forbes, because I know people, folks buying links from Forbes. There's a bunch of reselling community. I think there are PR agencies. I mean, it's so widespread, the whole backlinks, and people often assume that if you get a good link, or let's say you get 10 links, it's safe to say that you'll rank. So, how true is this? What do you think? Because, depends on every stage where the company is, like, it can have a good DR, it can have a low DR. What's your whole take on the whole backlinks thing and how people obsess about backlinks?
So yeah, backlink is the, I guess, one of the most talked thing in SEO, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is talking about backlink. You get hundreds of requests on LinkedIn where people are trying to sell
Yeah, I
backlinks.
mean, I've received messages at 1 a.m. and I've received follow-ups. I don't feel who are giving out backlinks, but yeah, I mean, it's a terrible this thing.
So I feel backlink, will is helpful, but it's not the only thing which will help you. If your base is not strong, right? Your fundamentals are not
Like a DR.
not a DR, but your content is not good.
Okay.
Your technical aspects of your website is not performing well. Your page is not loading properly, right? If you haven't set up those things well and you try to focus from initial days to acquire backlinks, it will never work for you, right? So what I feel in my personal experience about backlink is it should come in the later stage of your work, when organically you are able to achieve ranking, let's say in top 50, top 30 or top 20, based on the competition level you are in, right? Because if your content itself is not able to grow, right, then it's a problem. So
So it's safe to say that your whole base, like if you're building like a huge tower, your whole base needs to be solid enough, and then you put your you make it bigger or you add certain
I
things
feel
or you.
yeah, backlink comes like a toppings, so it helps. Let's say there are three websites, right, ranking on first, second, and third position.
Okay.
Obviously, they are doing so well. That's the reason they are ranking on top three position, right? Their basics are good. Their technical is perfect, right?
Content is good.
Content is good. Now, what could be the deciding factor for Google? I personally feel that that deciding factor is somehow some external sources, where backlink come into the picture, and
Is one of them.
yeah, backlink or a topical authority.
Topic.
So I feel there are two reasons when a website is ranking in top 3 position and they are able to hold those positions for a long period of time. Two reasons they could be ranking well is, one is definitely their content is superb, right? Their base technical is superb, but on when you have all everything set, either you are ranking because of a topical authority, or you are ranking maybe because of a backlinks, because they are able to, you are able to hold your position over there. So then it makes more sense for you to work when you already, maybe let's say you are in top 10, right? And then you want to push your rankings up. You are already doing so well, your content is perfectly fine, your content is much more valued, and Google do A/B testing over there. Google will give you a position jump for a couple of days, for a couple of hours, and see, test it out the result, test out the bounce rate, test out the average page on time, test out the dwell time, and see that how your page is performing against those metrics, and then it decide to give you a push. So backlink does play a very important role, but you also have to understand at the same time that it's not works at the same level for all the companies and all the industries and niches, right? Uh, for for a company, working in a B2B industry, when you're working in a SaaS product, let's say, right, the competition is way more tough, right? You don't produce pages on scale over there. And you don't kind of own authority as well in that niche, right, where everybody is kind of at the same platform. There it might help you to do, whereas when you work on a core niche website with millions of pages, and you play more around a topical authority, and it becomes difficult for you to even create backlink for a millions of pages. So you have to decide it, what will work for you, what will not, depending on your use case, and the type of website you're working in, instead of just focusing and say that backlink, you have to get the backlink done. So that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also, we'll have to look it upon a few things. I feel yeah, I mean, brands are obviously obsessed about backlinks. They have a team. They keep people just for outreaches. I'm not sure how many of outreaches work. There are link exchanges going on, etc. And obviously, there is a lot more obsession because it seems like an easy way out of you getting rankings. But as you mentioned, your first step needs to be, ki, hey, we come to the first page or the second page. Once you're there, it means that you've done things right, your content is right, everything, and then it's all about your few extra steps in optimization, etc. Because I feel ki one thing which company do miss out is ki, hey, if let's say if there's a established company, they have a lot of content already out, right? And they always want to create new content, add more blogs, target more keywords. And I wanted to also understand from you is, I feel ki they also need to look at, see, because SEO is so much evolving, your search patterns can change. People searching for certain terms might expect different things, right? So it's important to be on the game, monitor all the rankings, understand things, and do refreshes, because we've also seen at MoEngage we have a lot of blogs there already, right? And then for some terms you are ranking for a year, we're getting good traffic, but it suddenly goes down, and it's all about why, because you need to add more things, you need to update it, you need to make it more this thing, because products change. Like if you see, WhatsApp marketing has changed in the past year or so, it's changed drastically. So what's your take on this? Should brands be again also looking at certain other things which are very underrated, and backlinks is obviously one thing, but then there's so many other things that get overlooked when and even budgeting for that and everything takes a year.
Yeah. So once what happened, I was working in a company, and I was a junior. I was at a junior position that time, so there was a senior person on top of me, and they seen a sudden drop in the ranking of a keyword which was performing well for us, and straight away things is coming up that it's because of the backlinks.
Lesser backlinks.
Yeah, the reason they are mentioning it to the higher management is we don't have backlinks. That's the reason we are not able to, we have seen a drop. But when I saw that happening, and when I see it now, we have a term called, keyword intent mapping, right? So what happened is the intent has changed.
Okay.
When we created a page, our landing page was performing well. Now when you search the same query, the listicles are coming up.
Oh.
Right, so the intent has changed. And we have to optimize our content based on the intent, and that's the reason, I guess nowadays everyone in the industry is doing a content refresh, at least for their top performing content pieces, right? Because you never know when the intent will change for a content, for a keyword, right? So I feel, yeah, well, you have to always deep dive into the problem statements. And backlink is always act as a topics. Backlink will help you to hold your positions somehow. Sometimes backlinks might help you to give a small push to jump from, let's say, fifth position to second or third position, but it will never be a key driver to give you a rank boost from 100 to 1. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, fair point. I think you also mentioned about tropical authority and how it's very, very important. I feel, yeah, that's true. Because it's an easy way for Google to tell ki, hey, this brand knows about this certain topic or segment. And yeah, I mean, backlinks do add value, but then it's there's a saturation point as well. So you can be on the 100th position, but if you just put, let's say, 50 backlinks, it will not help you go to the first position because so many other factors there as well, right? It might give you a like a temporary, maybe a push or a jump, and but it you staying there, I think there's so many other things because uh, today, as consumers want to read the right thing, right? And if they don't, because nobody has that time, right? Nobody has that this thing of going through and then not finding the answer. So it's very straightforward. You need to optimize for that, and I think that will also mean reducing content. I feel. What's your take on content? Because a lot more people talk about ki, hey, we need to have this number of word count. Let's say if the intent and if the article is smaller and it makes the user experience better, should somebody take that risk and then create something?
Have you ever visited a e-commerce website?
Yeah.
And read a product description over there?
Yeah.
Right, it's always small, right? Still they rank. They don't write 1,000 word product description.
True.
And it will be always same,
Automated.
automated, and then product description will be always same on Flipkart, Amazon, and maybe on Swiggy.
Yeah, because your product
Right.
value, your
So what I'm trying to say here is that Google understands the industries, the niches, and the type of content it requires, right? When you are talking about a guide or a how-to content, it should be a lengthy content. You can't explain a big process or a big task in less than 500 words, right? But if you're talking about a definition of something, it can be described under 500 words as well.
correct.
So your approach should be always a customer first approach, right? Based on the intent and the keyword you are tapping into, try to write the genuine information. Don't add up fluffy words in your content just to increase the word count, right? If you feel that you have added a decent value when a user will be reading that content, stop it right over there, right? You feel that you have covered everything around this topic, stop it. No need to, because if your content is worthy enough, if it's adding value and if it's unique, it will perform no matter the word count or word length of it. So that's what I feel personally about this. Back then it might be working that if you write 3,000 word content, 5,000 word content, it will rank, whereas if you write 1,000 word content, but this is not that era we are into. We have better versions of algorithm coming into. We have NLP's thing, and then even the rank brain was there, right? So now Google doesn't treat don't try to find out the word basically on your page. Google try to understand the meaning of the keyword which is searched on Google, and then try to find the best result which is serving that meaning, and then show it to the user. So that's how it is. It's I don't think so it's about word count at all.
Yeah, I think there's so many things that we've brought from the past decade, which happened in SEO, and then I mean, people are still obsessed about it. But I think it's fair to take a step behind and then look at other things as well. I think user experience is something that has been very highlighted thing for the past 2 3 years, and I think even companies have also made changes to their UX, and in terms of it's not always about adding block of text, but then how do you make it better, make it more simpler, or can an infographic help, can a video help, or can
Right.
images help? So I think that really does help. Yeah, I mean, you also mentioned about the whole technical SEO bit and how it's important. And I know that we can do a complete episode on the whole thing just by talking about this. And I feel very few people talk about it. I think there's Patrick Stocks on Ahrefs who's done considerably well by highlighting things. It's something that people don't want to look into or get into. Obviously, because of technicalities, you need to know certain languages. Again, there's some myths around it as well, but if anybody needs to start around technical SEO, what's the first place he needs to go to read, or what's the best way to approach this and understand?
Sure. I feel one thing definitely helpful are the Google Search Central videos,
Okay,
right?
interesting.
They talk a lot about the basic things. For example, JavaScript based website,
Mm-hmm.
server side rendering, client side rendering,
Mm-hmm.
how Google will be treating your pages if you write, if you write the content in a different format. They talk about the different type of images, different types of sitemaps and all. So to begin with, but you should understand the basic functionalities of crawlers, how crawlers works, how crawler crawl a website or a web content,
Mm-hmm.
and then how fetch it. And then there is a differences actually. So people don't understand there are processes to which usually crawler follow. Your page doesn't directly get rank, right? It should first get crawled, and it should be crawlable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then when it's getting crawled, it get fetched, the data information get fetched, right? Once the fetching part is done, then Google will store that information somewhere in the database and try to match that information, and see what is the right keyword where it can fit in, right? And then your content get indexed, and then the ranking comes in. So ranking comes at a very later stage. So your content first should get crawled, and then your content should first get indexed first, and then the ranking part will come up. Search Central videos are definitely
The
very
first step.
the first step should go about it. Even their Search Central blog, they write a good amount of pieces over there, and the basic fundamentals will always be there, right? Such as sitemap, the type of
Robots.
robot.txt, and as well as the couple of fundamentals like page speed, right? User experience thing, for example, your page should be mobile responsiveness and so on. Those are very basic couple of things. And then if you are good to go about these things, then you can learn more about JavaScript SEO, then programmatic SEOs, and so on. Then the journey never ends over there.
Yeah, fair. And for our viewers or anybody who's seeing this, who's into SEO, how important of a technical SEO skill is there? And do only larger companies benefit from it, or let's say if somebody a new startup which is building their website, do they need a technical SEO consultant, or somebody who could tell them ki, hey, you need to do this? How important of a skill is it for anybody?
I would say it's pretty important. Nowadays, a lot of people are, even the startups are building their websites and web apps on JavaScripts,
Mhm.
and JavaScript SEO should be learned by people, right? The server side rendering and client side rendering. I have seen people struggling that everything is there on the website, the web page, right? But the content is still not getting crawled and indexed.
Mm,
Google is not able to find it. They don't know what's happening over
mm.
there. So it's not only about the big websites, but if you're working in a small startup also, you might face these kind of issues where,
The fundamentals need to be cleared.
yes, the basic fundamentals should be cleared, and then you can always learn and read about the problem statements which are facing.
Fair. I think this is something which people quite sometime overlook. There's not a lot of content also there, but yeah, I mean it's equally important to understand the nitty gritties of how everything works, because then as you mentioned, it's easy to debug things, right? Or again, you need some help then. So it's better that you know this so that you can debug this problem and solve it for your company. So yeah, I think we've discussed fairly a lot. I think I didn't expect to this to be so long, and I mean anybody who's watched till the end, thank you so much for watching, and we'd love to know your thoughts on this. And again, this was the first episode. We just spoke our mind out, or whatever topic we thought it's important. We spoke about it, but please let us know what you want us to cover next. Do you want some case study or something which you struggle with or something? I think we can take a deep dive more into what, or if you want some experts to be there, I mean we'll love to collaborate with folks. So for the second episode of SEO Unfiltered, we require your help. Please help us by sharing what questions do you want us to answer, what are you struggling with, what are your challenges. We could also take up some problems
Right.
of your company where you're stuck at, and I'm sure that Aditya and me can help you out. And I think, yeah, this was a very very interesting conversation. I'm sure that a lot of people would love and would help in their career and actually know about things, because I think this has rarely been spoken about. So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.